FM. You are joining us for the Islamic Arts and Heritage Show. My name is Sfira Ali, and I am joined here today by Shazia Rashida Osman and Adam Khalifa. Hello to you both.
Hey.
Assalamu alaikum to the listeners as well.
So I just wanted to start off by speaking a little bit about each of you and introducing you both to the listeners. Could you just tell me a little bit about yourselves, what you do, and how you got into what you're working as now? Adam, starting with you.
My transition was quite, it was literally really different. I come from a graphic design background initially. It was really through accident, getting into fine art especially. It was about 5 years ago. I'm a studio manager at Student Army and Cheshire Artist Studios. Currently I've got 2 studio spaces. I'm currently working on paintings, predominantly. I started off doing installations and videos and all this sort of stuff, but yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
Okay. And Shazia, a little bit about your work, your practice, and what you do.
I'm a visual artist and calligrapher. I specialize in mixed media art. I do like to do more traditional calligraphy pieces, but add my own contemporary touch to them. I'm a student of calligraphy at the moment. I started off learning Nask calligraphy with Ustad Suleiman Desai at Dar al-Arqam, but the script just never held with me. I really struggled with the script, and after 3 years of trying and failing, I dropped the script and I took up the Maghrabi Andalusi script. I'm learning with Ustad Badr Isaihi from Morocco. He's currently based in Istanbul, and I do my classes through the Deen Arts Foundation. I'm in my 4th year of learning Maghrabi script with Ustad Badr, and it's a journey that's ongoing, and inshallah, I'm excited to see where it leads me. I'm Leicester based. I have a studio at Studio Name, which I just started the beginning of this year in January. It's really helped me widen my practice. Previously, I've been working from my home studio, and it had been prohibitive in certain sense that, I didn't have the creative freedom to experiment as much as I do now. So I'm excited to see where this leads me.
Okay.
So how about yourself? Let's
a little bit about myself as well.
How did you get
Funnily enough, all 3 of us are artists, but my background is completely different. I used to be a journalist and worked in newspapers, so I was based in Cumbria and then London, and then I worked in local government doing communications and marketing, so completely different to what we're doing now, and then got married and moved to Leicester 6 years ago. And when I moved here, that's when I started doing various classes, and funnily enough did Arabic calligraphy. Yeah. That's where I met Shazia 6 years ago, and then later on met one of our other friends, Zakira, also at those classes. And basically through doing the calligraphy and looking at manuscripts, old manuscripts, and then seeing the artwork on there, I kind of felt a bit more drawn to the geometry side of it. It was a little bit easier than the calligraphy as well. And then started doing classes to learn more of that. But for me personally at that time, I was travelling more to London. So to do in-person classes every week, going there, which isn't easy to do for everyone. For me, because I'd previously lived there, it was just easy for me to travel and see family and friends there. With the pandemic then happening soon after that, everything went online. So I took advantage and just learnt as much as I could online. And then after everything opened up again, just continued with the artwork, but then started teaching geometry. And that's where I'm more focused on at the moment. So that's a little bit about how I got into it.
So how did you guys not really transition, kind of like, how did you know you had this kind of like connection with creativity? What what was your first kind of like experience, or this is what I want to do, sort of like aha moment, you know?
It's funny because usually when you talk to someone who is in the creative field, they'll usually say, I did it from a young age. I always knew I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to do it when I was younger, but I think being sometimes from a background where it's seen as doing a different academic field is better for you. So I come from a family where one person is an accountant, one person's a lawyer, one person studied IT. I was kind of pushed to go towards the medical field. It didn't happen. It really didn't happen. I tried, but it really wasn't for me. So I started off like a literature route and then studied journalism. So that was my route. But from a young age, I really enjoyed art. And even when I was doing my choices, I did a test to find out which route I should go down. Funnily enough, it was 50-50. So I had to make a decision there and then. But I think I was kind of steered in one direction, but carried on doing it in my own time. I used to do calligraphy on everything I could get hold of from very young. I think I was about 12, 13 years old. And I started doing it then. And then when it was my cousin's wedding, I did all the place cards. I couldn't do calligraphy professionally, but just with the little that I did, I must have only been about 15 then, but did all the place cards for the wedding for that. And it was more a hobby, but I carried on doing it. So that was kind of how I knew that I enjoyed it.
Well,
What about yourselves?
Yeah, it's funny what you say about how it sort of peaks up in your childhood.
Yeah.
And if it's not nurtured then and then pushed forward and built upon, it still does remain with you. So when I was younger, I used to love arts and crafts. I would design my own bedroom myself, paint my bedroom walls. At one point I got into beading and making jewelry. I got a lot of calligraphy pieces at my mum's house from when I was younger. And funnily enough, she's kept each and every one of them. And just to show me my progression over the years. And I sometimes when I go back home, I look at them and I cringe and I say, Mum, I can't believe you've kept this. And she's like, you were into it from that young an age. So with me, I kind of did things back to front. So to say, I had my family really young, and then I just concentrated on bringing the kids up. It wasn't until about 2016 when my younger sister passed away. And at that point, I was on a trajectory to go back into education. I had applied for a degree in midwifery. I wanted to become a midwife. And then when she passed away, everything just fell apart. I just, I didn't go to uni. I then started looking at... I went back into calligraphy. That's when I signed up to the classes with Ustad Suleiman, and I did some online classes. And what I was finding is that it was filling this void inside of me. I was feeling good when I was doing calligraphy. It's all those endorphins, isn't it? The dopamine. So I ran with it, and I decided that, yes, now this is what I'm going to make my career. I'm going to learn. I'm going to upskill. I'm going to do as much as I can to be an expert in my field. It's still a learning journey. Like I said, I've done it all back to front. I don't have a degree or any sort of formal education. I've kind of like pieced together my own education over the years. But yeah, creativity came to me very young.
And I think it is always continuous. I don't think it's...
Yeah, it's kind of like this flame, isn't it? And it's kind of like this... It's ignited in your childhood. It's there, but it's up to you to nurture that creativity and
see where it goes.
See where it goes.
And Adam, how about yourself?
Mine was never really Islamic. It was like really, when I was probably about 8 years old, I think I was. We went to some kind of like theatre through school, and we were asked to kind of like draw this experience after going to the theatre, and I drew it. You know, the teacher was amazed by the skill. She called the headmaster over. She said, "Oh, let's have a look at this." I remember that vividly. It's almost like, the memories that you have, like you can remember
They
it.
really stick
they
in your
really,
memory,
and it sticks
yeah.
by you. I think that was the moment for me. About 8 years old, I was always wanted to do creative stuff. It's interesting because like everyone's creative in some aspects, like I read a book to do with creative management, and it was talking about the act of walking is creative. Tying a knot is creative process, but I guess it depends on how you translate it in some aspects. But yeah, I think at that early stage, about 8, I want to ask about though. Inspirations. Who do you get inspirations from? Like, who's your favorite artist? Or I know you mentioned.
What what a question.
Yeah.
I think for me, I tend to look more at old manuscripts. So when I'm looking at things, I'm trying to work out patterns. For me in particular, because I'm working in geometry, I'll either look at old manuscripts and look at the geometry based on that, try and work out how to do it, or in real life architecture. So whenever we go on holiday, they're usually architecture based holidays. So I'll usually go to places where you would usually find those, and then take pictures, come back home, try and work those out. That's kind of where the pattern inspiration comes from. How about you?
There are many sources of inspiration. I mean, among the contemporary artists of today, especially with calligraphers, I am particularly moved by the work of Hassan Masoodi and how he can take a piece of writing and illustrate it in a way that alludes to the subject of the phrase that he's chosen, and he does that just by the strokes that he chooses and how he has those strokes fit together.
What sort of scale does he work at?
He works at different scales. I've seen some works on paper, like normal-sized works on paper by him. He's, I think, a French-based artist. He's in France. And I would have loved to go by his studio, but I didn't get a chance on this trip. But
I think his heritage is Iraqi.
yeah.
He's now based in France. He's done several books, but just beautiful calligraphy works, but very expressive, and
Very
usually
expressive,
poems within those works as well.
So for yourself, you mentioned about obviously going on these trips. It's more like Persian type stuff, or is it like Persian art and?
Well, the first trip that I probably went on was to Marrakesh, and it was just sensory overload, and it was before I had started studying any patterns, but literally every surface, had patterns on, the floors, the walls, the plates, everything. So it was a lot of patterns, but like I said, just the overload of it, and obviously quite complex patterns that even now I wouldn't be able to, do half of them. But it was just seeing the volume of them. That was the first time that I came across them. And then it was the week that I came back, that's when I had enrolled on a course with Art of Islamic Pattern based in East London, and did the 10-week course with them to start learning how to do the patterns. But since then, I've been on a study trip to Fez. I've been to Istanbul, I've been to Spain, so Granada, Seville, all of that area, but specifically to see the patterns, obviously holiday as well, but it's just to see that type of pattern. But I think I'm more drawn to the Zellige type of pattern, which is the mosaics, which is more like a Moroccan Andalusian type of pattern. So I quite like those, but also the Mughal Jali patterns. So I saw quite a bit of that. So my family.
Have you been to the V&A? Mughal,
I haven't been to the new exhibition, the Mughal exhibition, but I've been previously, before they had this exhibition, and saw the Islamic art section that they had there. But you have been to the recent exhibition. How did you find that?
Amazing. I actually went with a colleague, Mohammed Hanif Bhai, and I wasn't expecting to have such a accomplished, knowledgeable person next to me, and it's I like the thought process. It's inspired obviously by Persian art, people from India, Gujarat, Iraqi lifestyle. So, I mean, it's amazing. It's one to have a look at. It is in Vienna until, I think, March or April. But it's definitely worth a visit.
Okay.
In terms of inspiration, again, I'm more kind of a calligraphy type person anyway. So it's nice to have a different kind of like spin. You know, get inspired by calligraphy. And patterns. You know, and kind of like weaving it both together. Yeah.
So how do you treat it? Do you look at either contemporary artists or traditional artists, or is it a case of trying things out yourself and seeing what you come up with? What's your process? So
for me, I mean, in terms of like my inspiration, obviously I come from a graphic design background initially. My favourite designers used to be, you know, David Carson. Then I went off to John Maeder, a Japanese guy in America. And then when I transitioned to fine art, I like Pierre Soulages. This guy does like really thick brushstrokes, and it's all about, he uses black paint.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all about just black.
On a light background?
No, it's just black,
okay.
Black on black.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see the strokes and different textures and different. So I think at the moment, Pierre Soulages, obviously there's other people like Yo-Yo Kusama, you know, with the dots, and Rothko, you know, like simple pieces like Rothko. Yeah, so yeah, so I think those type of artists were kind of like inspiring in a sense. Yeah, but I want to ask you, like, in terms of like, how did you sort of like move your practice from working from home to getting in the studio? Because I've always said, like, you're a professional if you have actually got a studio, you know, like, you know, like, you know, if you're working from home, you need to be like moving on and, you know.
Very disciplined.
Yeah, you've got to be disciplined.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm very new in having a studio. So, again, I'm with Studio Name with you guys, and I got my studio in November. Previous to that, I was working from home, so I had a setup at home. But it was being disciplined enough to have your work time, sit down, do your work, and just have your dedicated time and not do other things, which isn't the easiest thing to do, especially if you have people around, you know, and, you know, certain things that you need to do. But with getting a studio, you know, the motivation behind it was that I wanted to work on bigger pieces, which I couldn't do in the space that I had at home. I wanted to start doing other things. So for myself, making paint, I needed the space to do that. So it was practical in those terms, but also I wanted to treat it like going to work every day, having a dedicated space, being with other colleagues, being in a space where I felt like it was going to work.
Yeah. I think you're working towards a show, right? You've got an exhibition coming up. Are we going to talk about that? You know,
my own exhibition. Gosh, yeah, I haven't even started working towards that. Yeah, I've got my first show is coming up in August, end of August. So I've done several group exhibitions previously, which has been great for experience and also getting my work out there. But yeah, I was advised to try and do my own solo show and just do one dedicated body of work. So I'm working towards that at the moment. Yeah, I've started doing the work, but it's a case of doing the volume of work.
Sure. So you got an exhibition coming up, right?
Yes. So mine is kind of like it's a crossover between a solo exhibition and a group show. So what it is it's an exhibition featuring my response to Project Illuminate, which happened last year. So the Illuminate project was a project that was exploring depression, anxiety, and the healing power of art from an Islamic perspective, but not exclusively an Islamic perspective. There are other perspectives also in the show. So what it's going to be including is a body of work by myself, which is my response to the project, and then a lot of co-created work by participants, which were showcased last year at Oadby Community Centre, which only ran for 2 days. But this time it's running for 3 weeks at DMU. It's going to be in the Atrium Gallery. It starts on the 5th of April, finishes on the 25th of April. So if you're local, and please do come.
I know you're doing some like new bodies of work as well, right? I've seen glimpses of it, and are you going to see something different, or is it?
It's all very different. It's all very different. I mean, my whole art practice has kind of like turned upon its head in terms of this body of work, and a lot of it is to do with the subject matter and how I have interpreted the subject matter from an Islamic perspective. So it's weaving in those stories, the conversations that happened around it, the dialogue, and trying to portray a visual aspect to get viewers and people who are looking at the artwork to kind of understand what it feels like to explore depression and anxiety from an Islamic perspective. I'm keen to see what the reaction is from most people. I have been showing a few glimpses here and there of my work, and this particular body of work is very inspired by one manuscript. It's called the Blue Quran, and I think it's an 11th century manuscript found. It's written in Kufic script with gold, pure gold, on blue indigo dyed vellum at the time, and how it's inspired is by the color palette. So you'll be seeing a lot of indigo blues and a lot of gold within the work. The juxtaposition of both the colors and the opposites. I'm just going to say that much, but come down and see the show.
Very exciting. Can you give us a little bit of a flavour on the newest pieces that you're working on that weren't in the previous exhibition?
Yes. So then the newest pieces are, well, they are a mixture of works on paper. I've got 9 works in total on paper, which are on handmade indigo Wazli paper that was sourced from India. A lot of the work includes 24 karat gold. So there is a lot of gold leaf within the work. You'll see some geometric patterns. And I'm trying to weave in traditional Islamic art. So whether that means the calligraphy aspect, whether it means Persian miniatures, whether it's Mughal miniatures and biomorphic patterns, there's a mix of all of these elements coming together to tell the story. One thing that the work is heavily, is sort of like, is the foundation of the whole body of work, is Surat al-Duha. And you'll see it within each and every piece that I've worked on within this collection. So it's the reason why I chose Surat al-Duha is because of how it came to be revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. I mean, when I was researching depression and anxiety, I came across the fact that he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, went through a period of difficulty and a period of questioning himself. He was in a state of sadness for about 6 months when he hadn't received any revelation from Allah, and he was questioning himself and saying that, have I imagined the whole thing? Did it really happen? And that's when Surat al-Duha was revealed to him. The meanings of Surat al-Duha are very deep. I encourage you guys to go over them, read through them. Even though I've created this whole body of work based upon this one surah of the Quran, I don't think, I still feel like I can do more work around it. There's that much of depth and message within the verses of the Surah al-Duha.
if you mind asking, if you don't mind me asking, what's your feeling with how the Islamic art and art scene? How have you found the experience, joining the two things together in Leicester?
In Leicester in particular, I think there is a growing art scene with Islamic arts. The art scene is already there. With myself being fairly new to the art scene, I probably haven't got that much to speak of the art scene itself. But coming into it from an Islamic art perspective, there's definitely an interest from people who want to learn. So not necessarily people who are doing it themselves, but there's people who want to learn, certainly in terms of workshops and incorporating it into their own artwork. But I think there's a lot already there in terms of people teaching calligraphy, the traditional type, certainly how I started learning with the Nask script, and geometry as well. How about yourself? What do you think?
I think there is a thirst for exploring Islamic arts within Leicester. I think that there isn't enough material, or I think from what I have experienced, I think most people don't really know how to get started with Islamic arts. There are people who are interested in exploring it but don't know how to get started. There are lots of resources, I think, of us as individual artists where we can signpost and help people get started if they wanted to, which is why we've set up an organization called Leicester Islamic Arts and Heritage. It's just been put together. It's a collective of artists within the city where we're all coming together to raise awareness and appreciation of Islamic arts within the city. We want to engage the community, and the three of us, we're all part of the organization. So it'll be interesting to see how we can make a difference within the city and engage more people within the city.
I think for me, looking at the scene from the outside, I think it's been a challenge. I think I don't know if you guys have felt that. I think Islam has been underrepresented in Leicester, particularly. I think it's taken somebody external to show us, in Rakesh.
Yeah.
For him to say, you guys are missing out as a Muslim community. What is it, 30%? In Leicester,
Yes.
And we have
No
literally Eid festival, which is, I believe, partly funded by them. It's not even helped by the council, I think, in some aspects of it. So I think there's definitely a need for more sort of like engagement within the wider community. Alhamdulillah, we've got this Ramadan festival coming up as well.
Yes.
Light Up Leicester is happening with Muhammad Akib's work happening.
So Ramadan Festival is it this coming weekend? I think it's 14th.
Yeah, I think it's this weekend.
And that's going to be at the High Cross. So for anyone who would like to get involved in that, please do visit the High Cross. And there's all sorts of activities happening and stalls happening over that weekend there. Can you tell us a little bit about Light Up Leicester and what's involved there? Yeah,
with Light Up Leicester, obviously it's a city centre incentive. I think they missed last year. I think it was done the year before.
I think it might be every 2 years. And I think this year's one, it's launching today. And it's running for, is it 3 days? Am I right in saying that?
I think it's till the 15th.
15th, yeah.
Okay. And do you have an idea of some of the things that are involved? What could people expect if they've never been to Light Up Leicester before? What is it that they could expect to see?
I think this is going to be slightly different, but going by previous experience, it was predominantly sort of like installation work, light installation, and you go around. It's like a trail. It is quite. It's fluid in terms of like going from one place to the other. It's a nice experience. But I'm really keen on this year because we've got Mohammed Akib's work, Noor Tower, happening right near the clock tower, which is going to be really good, and it's going to be, I think there's a open iftar happening this.
That's tomorrow.
I believe it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be quite interesting as well to see that happening for the very first time in the city. I know it happens in other cities, but to have it in Leicester.
To have it in Leicester,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. And
I'm particularly excited to see the Noor Tower.
Yeah.
Mohammed Akib's installation on and his Moroccan architecture inspired tower that he's put together. So I'm looking forward to see that, and how it's kind of representational to Islamic art within the city. So that will be nice to see as part of this festival. What would be nice to see is like future festivals having more representation of Muslim artists and Islamic art within the city.
I think, obviously with this organisation, it's also, we've got a sub-product that we trade under Takleek, Leicester.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Takleek is a kind of like a pilot scheme, and it helps us to, we've done one exhibition for the Muslim community last year, and it's about bringing people that work in, discreetly at home, or people like yourselves in professional environments, bringing everyone together. It was one of our more successful exhibitions that we've held. It was like 150 people, which is on the opening night, which is quite a lot. It was
and quite a range of artwork as well.
Yeah, it was
right across the board.
Yeah, the open call was sent out, and it was really nice engagement. We had some. Going forward, we've got other plans as well. The next event by Takleek Leicester, we're doing a henna meet.
Yeah.
That's on the 6th of April.
Yeah. And who is that open to?
Professionals, predominantly.
So professional henna artists.
Henna artists, like somebody with 1+ years experience.
Okay.
And on the same day, between 3 and 5 p.m, we've got beginners henna class as well. That's another option. It's all done on Eventbrite, so they can plug in with Takleek Leicester Instagram account.
Yeah, so if anybody wanted to know about those, the details are on our Instagram account. That is Takleek Leicester, and it is at TAKHLEEQ Leicester, all one word, and there's a link there straight to the Eventbrite page. So if anybody wants to know anything else about that, they can just link up there and get tickets to that event. For that one in particular, for the one that's open to trying out henna, you don't need any experience beforehand to try that out. Will it be a professional artist that's guiding them?
Yeah, it's a professional artist, Mariam Adam. She's got, I believe, 8 years worth of experience, and it's something, it was introduced by herself to say, look, we should have something for henna artists. Going forward, we want to do different kind of events. Yeah. This is just a taster, like I say, a pilot scheme, and hopefully to walk and work towards a bigger event in the future.
It's really nice that you were offering a henna-based event to start off with this year, especially. And what really ties in well is that it's straight after Ramadan. So, you've got people who are really interested in henna patterns coming up to, and how many spaces is it limited to? So I think people should start getting booking.
So with the professional one, there's 15 slots. Obviously it's first come, first served.
And that's a good opportunity, especially if you're working on your own as a henna artist and you don't have a network of people. You can always meet other people who are doing a similar thing.
I think it's a great opportunity, you know, like for professionals to get together, have discussion about the future of henna art in particular, you know, about the industry, speaking to like-minded people, you know, about, the way they interact, you know, sharing ideas. I mean, that's all.
We should have a calligraphers meetup.
That's
next.
good. Calligraphy. Yeah.
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
We should do that as another
Yeah.
one. But I think people are keen to meet up with other like-minded people who are
Yes.
doing something similar to themselves, especially like you said, if they're working from home or sometimes if they're working on their own and they haven't built a network themselves, but just doing something similar in a similar field to yourself.
And it's quite a casual event. It's not really formal or anything. It's where they can all just get together and discuss their practice and their inspirations, the certain patterns that they enjoy. And then just network with each other, which I think is great. I mean, if I wouldn't have networked with you guys, I mean, I don't think I would have explored as many opportunities as I have today. So networking is very important as a creative.
Yeah. I mean, I want to. That's absolutely right, Shazia. I mean, I think there's power in obviously working with other people, and you move forward faster. You know, like if you're isolated and insular, then it's a lot more challenging. You know, there's people out there. I mean, that's why I always say, you know, getting a studio space allows you to engage with different projects. I think yourself, you're doing some kind of like work on an elephant, right? You've got a project on. Come on.
Yeah, so I'm taking part, as you are as well, Adam, in Stomp Round Leicester, which is an art trail that will be taking place this summer. So I think it's from next week. It's this month anyway. We'll have access to the elephants. So they're quite tall. They're taller than myself. I think I'm going to have to get a little stepladder to get to the top of it. But we had to take part in an open call and submit our artwork for those particular structures. And then it's the art trail is to raise money for Laura's hospice care. So that's the aim of it. Those will be popping up around Leicester this summer from July onwards. So July until September, I believe. And that will be, there'll be elephants by artists, but also organisations and schools will also be painting those. So my particular one is going to be a little bit tricky, I think.
I mean, the reason why I mentioned it is because had I been working from home, I wouldn't have the reach, I wouldn't have the exposure.
Yeah, completely.
You know, having because it was flagged up.
Yeah.
In our group, and then through that we applied for it, or I applied, and then it kind of like helps, and you walk up the hill quicker, with other people.
Yeah, completely. So just by meeting other artists and speaking about what's coming up, what they're applying for, giving advice. Sometimes you're applying for things. Sometimes it's going to be something a little bit more technical, how to apply for it. It's just giving advice to other people and seeing how they're doing it. That does help you.
So have you figured out what you're going to do with your elephant? How are you going to...
Yeah, I think I challenged myself quite a bit to do my particular one. Yeah. We can't reveal the full designs until it's revealed by the hospice and the art trail, but it's similar to the type of work I already do. I am going to go down the template route and help myself. How about you?
For me, I think it's going to be an organic experience because I've got a lot of drip marks within it because it's calligraphy. Yeah. And my style of work is quite specific. So it's going to be interesting how to replicate what I've already tendered for. Yeah. And especially, so what happens with the tendering process is it's applied and you do it on screen and it's flat. But when you get the piece, it's 3D, and then you've got practical issues like how do you go around this, curve and.
But also, it's an elephant,
Yeah.
the trunk, the body of it.
So
Yeah.
I mean, you have like different practical issues. I mean, but it's going to be a nice experience. Are you going to do it in the studio, or are you going to do it outside?
I'm going to do it from the space that they've chosen, so I'll be working with other artists. So surrounded by elephants, all working together on these structures. So yeah, it'll be exciting to do that. But also that's part of it, seeing how other people work and getting advice when you're doing your own. If you're a little bit unsure, you can always ask for advice in that case. And I think you're also doing it from
the space
the
itself. I
shared
mean,
space.
it doesn't make sense for me to have it shipped over literally about 10 minutes away from the studio. It just it's on the Abbey Lane, I think, the location.
Yeah, so that'll be quite exciting to work on that together. And then for anything else coming up, what you've talked about your exhibition, but also any other projects that you've got coming up that you're currently working on or working towards?
In terms of personal project, I've just done a 60-minute exhibition, literally.
Blink and you miss it.
Blink and you miss it, yeah. I did a 60-minute exhibition. It was a case of like just putting it up on the walls. I've got a body of work, probably about 50, 60 pieces. So it was a chance for me to sort of like display, put it on the walls. And you would have missed it if you didn't make the 60 minutes. So I would like to do it again, maybe in a different location. I've been knocking on doors, asking people whether they allow me to try it again. If not, then I'll just have to get a van and just do my own kind of like mobile gallery space.
A travelling gallery.
Travelling to different cities, 60 minutes and that's it, I'm gone.
And then Shazia, for yourself, you're working towards your exhibition coming up.
At the moment, it's literally, I'm just focused on that, trying to get that out the door. But I'm keen to see how I can build upon the Illuminate project and see how we can take that conversation one step further.
And then for myself,
possibly with another project.
Inshallah,
coming after that, inshallah.
That'll be good. And then for myself, I'm working towards my exhibition in August. I'm also taking part in Open House Leicester. That's in the summer. So currently working on work to exhibit as part of that. So lots of background.
How does that work? Open house, is it kind of like you have to apply for it? Or?
Yeah, so it was an open call to apply for it. And then the Art Trail leaders, I guess as a collective, they decide on who they want as part of it. To exhibit, and then it's an art trail that's in Clarendon Park, so it's actually in people's homes, so people are kindly opening their doors to allow people to exhibit the artwork. Not just art, it's also going to be ceramics, jewellery, various things exhibited, so that'll be taking place in June this year.
I mean, some of the things that we've spoken about already, Art Trail and, Open House and all this, it'd be nice if it was an Islamic, event, in one place. If you could have something going forward, I mean, that's the whole idea of having...
That's probably what we want to work towards.
And obviously Leicester, Leah.
Having something as part of that, definitely.
It would be good, something... for the wider community, so they can see,
the range of
different things that we actually do.
The range of things that we do, but also just the talent that there is in Leicester, not just Leicester, but Leicestershire as well. A lot of the art or the artwork that people may not necessarily see, to see that as part of an event would be a good thing going forward. So just to wrap up, if anybody would like to get in touch and sign up to any of the events that we've mentioned, we are available on Instagram, so on Taqliq Leicester, if you want to find out about any of the events that we've mentioned, especially the Mendi meetup and the networking event, you can sign up to our Instagram page and follow the links there. It's at Taqliq Leicester, that's TAKHLEEQ Leicester, and all the information and links are available there. And for ourselves, if you just want to give your details.
So I'm on Instagram as Rashida Art and Facebook as Rashida Art as well.
And Adam?
Before below, I've only got 3 seconds. Art by A. Khalifa. Art by A.
Perfect.
Khalifa. Thanks.
Thank you.